Found something in an abandoned military base. Me and my friend have always loved exploring abandoned places. My best friend Matt V and I have been climbing them since childhood, probably like any other boy. First through dilapidated barns, then through unfinished houses, but our hobby did not pass without a trace. As a result, by the age of 17, we could no longer say exactly how many abandoned buildings we had visited. I will never forget some of these places. They were really creepy, even scary, so much so that your hair stood on end. I can tell a couple or 3 interesting stories, and today I will tell you about the last story. The adrenaline from research spurred Matt V and me to look for even more creepy abandoned places, and it was this craving that brought us to Zenegrad Military Facility. I had found it by scouring the entire internet far and wide. Through various forums of stalkers and diggers, I looked for grains of information so that later, having put everything together, I could find this place. The military unit from the times of the USSR was abandoned 60 years ago. Not far from it, there is an underground storage facility. It is not clear what its purpose is. There were rumors that several people disappeared without a trace in this dungeon. They also allegedly saw ghosts inside. Something inexplicable and paranormal was happening. Then the facility was unexpectedly barricaded, blocking the entrances. This is what attracted me. Since I was stupid and young, I decided, of course, to go there. At first, Matt V was skeptical about such a trip, but then I finally persuaded him. He is also an adventurer, but it is always difficult to get a move into the right direction. It's like a freight train. Once it moves, it is difficult to stop. After a day of traveling by train, we were at the Anishkino station near the village of Kordon. From there we went east. After an hour of walking through a beautiful autumn forest, we stood at a concrete pillar with a sign rusted almost to holes. On it, the pale letters could be seen on the inscription, Military Base 141, Zenegrad. I wonder what this name means. Why was it closed at all? Matt V looked at the wooden barracks. They were rickety from time to time. They were at the checkpoint, overgrown with wild ivy and boarded up windows. I looked at all of this too. I don't know why I was so attracted to such places. Maybe it was the history stored in each of them. You never know why it could have been covered up. On the internet, when I was looking for information, they said that people often took their own life here. Not only conscripts, even officers. Mysticism in general. I love this. It's on our topic. My friend rubbed his hands, looking at the devastation, but still not as extreme as Pripyat. Well, never mind. Our dosimeters will arrive soon. We'll still have time to finish them before winter. He was obsessed with the Chernobyl exclusion zone. I read a lot about the disaster, looked a lot about everything on the internet, and really wanted to get there myself. Of course, we'll drive there. While we're here, let's look for the subway. We're close, I feel it. I moved forward. Matt V followed me. A few minutes later, to confirm my words, we came up against some mesh fences stretched along the perimeter. There was nothing to cut the mesh with, so we walked along, looking around, hoping to find a loophole. The concrete piles were dilapidated or tilted. For some reason, the chain-link fence was dark red. Signs hung everywhere, faded over decades. Some read, "Caution, dangerous object," and "live mesh," some of which were almost unreadable due to the corrosion. I had no doubt that we would find a hole in the fence, and so it happened. Even as we approached the entrance, shivers ran down my spine. This place caused inexplicable excitement. It really made my heart beat faster. The grass around was yellow. The leaves of the trees, which had not yet fallen, had already dried up. Then I chalked it up to the time of the year, without giving it due importance, which I regret to this day. The metal door at the entrance to the vault had been opened. Behind it is a massive sealed door with a shutter control. Since I was larger than my friend and physically better developed, I tried to open it, but it did not budge even a millimeter. We tried to lean and pull it back together. We pulled it back with a jerk. The steering wheel seemed to have grown into the door. I remember that the thought flashed through my head. Someone does not want us to go inside. Oh, they do not. We needed to look for an emergency entrance. Surely this is not the only door. Matvey threw off his backpack and sat down on the yellow grass. He took his phone out of his pocket and stared at it as if he was looking for the answers on the screen. There is no connection. Damn, the connection. Can you hear the hum? So quiet, almost deaf, or is it just me? No. My comrade listened. He took out a bottle of reddish liquid from his backpack, took a couple of sips, and handed it to me. I drank a little too, making a grimace. It turned out to be cranberry juice, which I have not liked since childhood. Why did you take sour meat? It would be better if I poured some cold tea with a little lemon, or at least poured sugar into the bottle. You're not fumbling, felt Boots. Fruit juice is a useful thing. He smiled, got up from the ground, shook off the dirt from his pants. Looking around, we realized that a fairly decent area was fenced off. Of course, this is not without reason. It was decided to first go around the fence. Something is wrong here. I could not shake the feeling of danger. It had never been so aggravated inside of me before. What are you talking about? My friend turned around in surprise. I don't understand yet. It's alarming. This place, it doesn't feel healthy. What was healthy in other similar places? For example, in the boiler room at a mental hospital. The boiler room was such a mess. I waved it off. We almost despaired of ever finding an emergency entrance. Having decided that the subway was indeed mothballed, we went back. But then, Matvey's gaze accidentally caught on top of an inconspicuous hill. The hillock was covered with withered bushes, but from the point where we stood, a piece of iron could be seen. Upon closer inspection, the piece turned out to be a torn hatch, held in place by bent reinforcement. A rusty, thin staircase went down to an unknown depth. My friend and I decided that I should go down first, since it was harder. I didn't have to choose, the idea was still mine. The stairs creaked terribly under my weight. Matvey, from time to time, shouted something, but his voice got confused in the narrow hole, reflected from the walls. Nothing could be heard at all. I was afraid to breathe. The dust was itching in my nose. I really wanted to sneeze. When my foot touched the hard surface, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I shined the light upward in the hope that Matvey would see the signal. I was signaling him so that he knew he could go down. The walls of the round tunnel went into the distance, and we also had to go there. We heard a quiet, dull rumble, like on the surface, only a little more distinct. An unpleasant, sour smell hung in the stagnant air. Matvey came down, wearing a respiratory mask, and I suddenly realized that I should have done the same. Anything could have awaited me during the descent, and I recklessly forgot about breathing protection. I put on the mask and pulled the straps tighter. We exchanged some semblance of a plan of action. In fact, it consisted only of slowly moving forward, without leaving each other a single step. Two beams from our headlamps quickly jumped along the walls, looking for who knows what. They were covered with dead, dropping worms of technological cables stretching deep into the tunnel. There are cobwebs on the ceiling and strange black vegetation that in some places hangs down to the floor. Do you see this too? I could not stand it when I saw a shadow flickering in the beams of a flashlight for the third time. What? Matvey muttered, staring at me. Well, don't be blind. There is something ahead. Yes, a rat, I suppose. I thought so too at first. Matvey was interrupted by a loud rustling from the darkness. Well, I told you so. Only it wasn't a rat. Following the rustling, we heard the sounds of footsteps. Slow at first, they gradually accelerated, moving away from us. Then everything froze. These aren't human steps, are they? Matvey asked me this in a whisper. He took a handheld flashlight from his backpack and sent a powerful beam forward, dispelling the dusty darkness. And then I saw it. Someone or something stood on the border between light and shadow. I felt that it was looking at us, but as soon as I directed my flashlight to illuminate something, it moved to the side and disappeared. Matvey did not see anything, and I tried to convince myself that I was imagining it. We continued our journey through the catacombs of the military facility. Occasionally, a thick drop of water would plop down from the ceiling, echoing throughout the round room. The tunnel gradually narrowed, and soon, we were already walking along a regular corridor. On one of the walls, Matvi illuminated a wall-mounted telephone. The tube hanging on the wire swayed a little. We looked at each other silently. The corridor led to a small hall. The light instantly snatched the doorway from the darkness. The front door was lying nearby. We did not find anything other than this passage. I decided that I would go first. Matvi remained behind. What a waste, huh? Creepy. Just imagine if our lights suddenly went out. My voice was strangely distorted in a narrow place. On top of that, I could not stop thinking about the creature that was watching us from the darkness. We have spare ones and 2 charged batteries. You're a bore, aren't you? Ruin the whole atmosphere. We walked further ahead in silence, listening. I really did not want to hear other people's steps again, or rustling sounds, or something else. Is there nowhere else to go? What the? My friend muttered in confusion as we emerged into a corridor with a dead end and several locked doors on either side. The walls were covered with metal plates. Maybe we missed some passage. I need to go back, but I stand rooted to the spot and could not move. This is not why we dragged ourselves here, I think. Look, Matvi was already at the far wall. Here, you can try to crawl through the ventilation. Maybe even in one of the rooms it will work. I walked up and looked at the hole that he had marked with the beam of his flashlight. Matvi always found such loopholes. Are you kidding? I will not get through there. But I am completely. At least, I'll just see where it leads. Do you remember the military hospital in Alexandrov? There was a similar system there, but I got through it. Are you sure you want to do this? Maybe. He himself persuaded me to go. Now, please help me. We need to break the defense. Matvi threw off his backpack, grabbed the corner with his hands, pulled, and the grate instantly gave in, falling to the floor with a crash. Matvi shouted with joy. There's plenty of space in here. Give me a lift. Well, what's there? I shouted impatiently into the hole in the wall. Matvi did not respond, and I was a little afraid to be alone in a remote bunker. I told myself, that creature is still watching me somewhere from the shadows. Maybe it was just waiting for me to be alone. The hum became more distinct. I did not notice when it happened. Now it was pressing on my ears. I plugged them, but the sound did not go away. Not missing. From the very beginning, the buzz was only in my head, and I realized what had alarmed me on the surface. The same deathly silence as below. No insects buzzing, no birds chirping, no wind howling. Just a gradually growing roar in the ears. I immediately remembered the myths about people disappearing here, about ghosts and the paranormal. I was pulled out of my thoughts by a rumble behind the wall, and then Matvi's curse. Crap, god damn it. I'm in one of the rooms, are you still there? I fell, guess what? The structure could not stand it. It doesn't seem to have broken anything. I tried to unlock the door, but it did not work. There's another one here, I'll check it right now. And there are also plenty of barrels. Come on, get out, we have to leave, do you hear me? Matvi did not answer me. My eyes stung. I tried to blink, but it only became more painful. I took some tissues out of the side flap of my backpack and wiped my eyes, hoping that this would fix something. Then everything was like a fog. It was as if hot knives were stuck inside of my eyes. The pain hit my brain, and at the same time, my friend screamed outside the door. I've never heard him scream like that in all of my life. His voice broke several times. He took a deep breath and screamed again. Then everything became quiet. Matvi, you idiot. You're alive. Answer me, you bitch. Only silence. I do not know how long it lasted. Even just a couple of seconds, maybe. Even if it was just a couple of seconds, they seemed like an eternity to me. Matvi's mother will kill me was the first thought that flashed through my head. There's a corpse here. It stinks wildly. Some kind of oily crap leaked out of the barrel. The whole floor was covered in this liquid. I got my boot into it. I hope my leg doesn't fall off, came Matvi's voice from behind the door. The voice sounded quite puzzled and indifferent, considering what it was saying. And I also want to sleep. I'll sleep a little. What are you talking about, Matvi? Is this some kind of joke? My eyes felt a little relieved from the pain. If yes, then it's not funny. My friend no longer responded. Everything around was quiet. Thoughts of how to save Matvi did not come. Time was melting before my eyes, and I took radical measures. bitch, I can't get through. I said that it was not necessary to go through there. Nevertheless, I took off my jacket quickly. I made a stand out of all of the things and somehow squeezed into the ventilation window. Maybe the adrenaline worked in such a way that I did not notice how I crawled along a narrow pipe. When I got out and saw Matvey sleeping, I instantly came to my senses. His respirator mask in his right hand, his face serene. I took off my sweater from my body and tucked it under his head for comfort. 2 meters away from him, in approximately the same position, lay the half-rotten corpse of a man. Matvey, wake up. I shook him and slapped him in the face. He opened his eyes, and I put the mask on his face. Why the hell did you take off your protection, you moron? I don't know, was all that he could manage to say. I noticed that his hands were shaking. He nodded somewhere for me. Something feels bad. Behind us stood the same barrels, all of them depicting a yellow triangle with some kind of design inside. One of the barrels was so rusty that the inside had long since leaked out. Some of the mass thickened, some remained liquid. Probably, then I also thought that we were finished. But only for a couple of seconds, then I ran to one of the doors. I opened it up and found myself in a similar room, also with barrels. My eyes stung. In the third room, I was able to open the door to the common corridor and was already running after my friend. He was passed out again. I threw him over my shoulders and rushed to the exit. He muttered all the way, "They are poisoning us, those bitches." Then he seemed to come to his senses and fell silent. When I carried him to the stairs to the surface, I did not understand how to find the strength for the saving, the final push. Not a single one of my muscles wanted to move. "I can't hold you anymore. We have to crawl the rest of the way, Matvey. Can you crawl?" I asked my friend. He nodded, although it looked like he was going to pass out. I let him in first, and while I was waiting for him to climb all the way, I felt his gaze on me, ripping open my back with a cold blade. 5 minutes passed, maybe even more than 5 minutes. I looked up. I was afraid to illuminate the space behind me, afraid to see that creature once again. Maybe there was no one there, and Matvey was right. It was just a rat all along. At that moment, everything was more than real. I can hardly even remember how we got from the storage facility to the station, cursing everything in the world, how people looked at us, shying away. How the time spent on return trains stretched to infinity. The consequences of our trip to the subway became evident after we arrived home. My friend burned out in a matter of days, although at first the symptoms were harmless. Nausea, a cough, temperature no higher than 37. We thought that Matvey had caught a cold. Then the complications came. Ulcers appeared on my hands that bled and itched, giving no rest either at night or during the day. Then a bloody cough came. Along with it, my body temperature jumped to 40 degrees Celsius. I was taken by ambulance to the hospital. After a lengthy examination, they told me that I was infected with some unknown virus. They told me that it was similar to the bubonic plague. They locked me in quarantine, together with Matvey as a contact. The virus infected Matvey's respiratory system, and one day, he suffocated in his sleep. The virus spared me. Doctors tell me this, but I believe that it is simply killing me more slowly and painfully. I have been undergoing treatment for years now, but to no avail. The virus inside me, they say, is gone, and that it cannot pass to another human, but I do not believe them. I still feel the same symptoms day after day, but there is no sign of it now. I am in and out of the hospital often, under large doses of antibiotics, antipyretic serums, hormones, and anti-inflammatory drugs. Sometimes they inject morphine to dull the pain, which is unbearable. Afterwards, I manage to sleep for more than a couple of hours. They always say the virus is gone and that nothing is wrong, but they always take extra precautions whenever I come in. They always seem to be analyzing me or doing something to me, and I don't know what else when they put me to sleep. I basically quarantine at home, as I always feel too weak to go anywhere or move. At night, I still have nightmares of that gaze I felt in that vault. I always swear I saw a dark silhouette in there, but only briefly. It was hiding in the shadows and the corners. I am always grateful when the nightmares are over and I don't have to think about it anymore. Cryptids on my farm thread. Hey X, I haven't posted on here before, but I've been lurking here for ages. Anyways, figured I'd contribute to Spooky Month by sharing the various cryptid encounters I've had, living on my farm in the middle of bumfuck Southern Africa. Don't really know where to start, so I'll give you a list of some of the creatures I have encountered, and let you choose which ones you want to hear about. Pick related is a shitty diagram of the layout of my old farm. 1. Called him the Lurker. Approximately 6 feet tall, grey, naked humanoid. You ever seen that picture of the rake? That is pretty much it. Located usually in the East Forest, looking in at my house, creeping around in the bushes. Nasty fucker. Pretty sure it's responsible for killing a bunch of my chickens. Never attacked people on my farm. Runs away screaming like a pig if you shoot at it. Genuinely terrified the fuck out of me on multiple occasions. Comes out of nowhere, especially in the late afternoon or night. 2. The Gremlins. 1 to 2 feet tall bipeds with jet black fur. Bright green eyes. Best description I can give is a cat/monkey hybrid. Located in the West Forest. Usually saw them near my cabin. Ecologist buddy saw some of them with me one day. Says they're probably just some rare offshoot species of monkey. Curious little critters. Usually never caused me much trouble, but made me ship major bricks on one occasion. Pretty intelligent, even for monkeys. See them hold sharp sticks like weapons. 3. The Tree Man. This one was weird. Only ever saw it twice that I can remember, but I dreamt about it multiple times after the first encounter. Pagan/witch friend says it's a fey spirit. Don't really believe it, but maybe you do. Pretty damn tall, like 9 or 10 feet. Vaguely human-shaped tree. Never saw him move, but would only appear in a place I knew there was never a tree, only to fucking disappear when I look back. That's it for now. Let me know what you want to hear about first. Got some others if you guys are interested. I'll start with a looker. There have been a lot of posts here in the past about creatures that match its description, so it might be a similar entity. Anyways, I'll green text the spookiest encounter as best as I can. Be me, 4 years ago, so about 18 years old, chilling in my room late at night, playing games with some friends. Internet was slow as all hell, but it worked. My bedroom windows directly face the East Forest. Got them cracked open because it's hot as fuck. Take headphones off and light up a cigarette. Hear something move outside. There's lots of deer and shit that live in the area, so I kinda ignore it. A few minutes later, I hear another noise. Something tap once on my window, pretty loud. See, initially I don't care, because I have a Great Dane that would get up on its hindquarters and lean on my window with its front paws, usually because she wanted to sleep inside. Moment of realization smacks me like a train. She had died very suddenly, a week or 2 prior. Hadn't completely set in that she was gone. What the fuck was leaning on my window? Spotlight outside, casting a shadow on the curtains of somebody just standing there. Holy shit, what the fuck? Think someone is breaking in. Shotgun is upstairs. Fucking bolt over to my cupboard and grab paintball gun. As I slam the cupboard doors open, I can hear a rustling outside. Rip the curtains open and push the window. Paintball gun is ready. Nothing close to my window anymore, but scanning the tree line, I fucking see it. Peeking out from behind a tree, occasionally ducking back, and then peeking out again. Pick related is pretty much what it looks like. Heart pounding. I empty out the fucking paintball gun. Don't even think I hit it, but the noise definitely scared it away. As it's running away, it starts shrieking, kind of like a distressed pig would, but raspier. I assume since my big-ass dog wasn't in the yard anymore, this thing got the balls to come closer to the house. The tree man is a bit more of a complicated story. I'll try to fit it in one post. Be boring as Sunday, doing nothing. Decide I'll take a walk to the cabin and chill there for the day. Pack a bag, air rifle, water, ciggies, power bank for phone, air rifle, can of Monster, and shitty Bluetooth speaker.
Gonna be a good day. Walk to cabin takes 15 to 20 minutes, if you walk fast. Set up at cabin, put bag in shade, start bumping jams on the speaker, shooting up bottles and shit with pellet gun. Do this for like 4 hours, lose track of time. At some point it gets really fucking hot, even for that time of year. Sweating bullets, sit down in shade, crack up a monster, light ciggy, hell yeah. As I'm going about my business, something suddenly grabs my attention. North of the cabin, still in the clearing, there is a tray with 2 trunks that join into one higher up. That wasn't there before. It's literally like 15 feet away from me. Look higher up. 2 branches on either side, like arms. Arm branches are slightly outspread, like it was about to embrace something. The more I look, the more this fucking thing looks human. The branches that make up its legs, arms, and torso actually have definition. The tree thing is built like a really tall, skinny human. Reckon it must be about 10 feet tall. Realized my ears were ringing. I think they had been the whole time that I was looking at the thing. The thing that made my blood go cold were the 2 white eyes in this thing's head, just staring at me, unblinking. Feels like I've been staring at this thing for hours when I eventually snap out of it. My eyes hurt. I blink hard a few times and rub my eyes. When my eyes eventually refocus, I look back at the spot where it was standing. It's fucking gone. For the next few weeks, I keep dreaming about this thing. The dreams are always me standing in a clearing, and this scary fucking tree just staring at me, occasionally getting closer until I shit bricks and wake up. Thanks, friend. Well, I only ever saw the tree man, while awake, once again after the first encounter, but it was probably the worst thing I went through at that farm. Back out at the cabin a few months after the first encounter. At this stage, I'd all but forgotten about the tree man. Out at the cabin at night. Hardly ever do this, because I don't want to run into the lurker. Don't give a fuck tonight, because my girlfriend broke up with me, and I've been drinking my sorrows away at my favorite spot all day. Brandy and Coca-Cola, yummy. While I am drunk and depressed, I do notice that the moon looks fucking amazing tonight. Full moon that night, so it's surprisingly bright for like 8 PM. Finish the brandy, and stumble over to a tray to take a piss. The second I start pissing, I get fucking pushed over. Feels like I got kicked by a horse. On my back, pants around my knees, I'm scrambling backwards, trying to see what hit me. Think I'm seeing double, because the tree in front of me has 2 trunks. Wait. Fuck. Look up, and Tree Man is towering over me, blocking the moon. The only light I can see now are those 2 glowing white eyes. One hand outstretched, like he's about to grab my head. Immediately feel sober. I'm freezing, and my ears are ringing loud as hell. He is really mad. I can feel it in the air. Feels like I'm paralyzed. I'm so focused on his glowing white eyes, I can't fucking move. Can't snap out of it like last time. Basically stuck in a trance like this, either until he let me go, or I passed out from exhaustion. Woken up by my mother the next day, getting absolutely shat on for not coming home last night. The fact that I'm pantsless, lying next to an empty liquor bottle, does not help at all. That day, suffered the highest fever I ever had. Spent most of the day puking. Eyes were practically swollen shut. Baseball-sized bruise on my chest. Back and ass are scratched up pretty bad. That night burned into my brain. Dream about it for months after. While I never saw him again, I never could shake the feeling that Tree Man was watching me. Literally get intense anxiety and panic attacks if I stay in a woods too long. Feel like he's there. Hence me moving to the beach. Things are a lot better now. Been at least a year since I even went to the farm. Willem looks after it now. Pretty sure he's aware of everything, but he's very religious, so I guess he just prays the spookies away. If I ever go back to the farm, pagan friend says I should start burying eggs, milk, and honey in the evening as a gift to the spirits in the forest. Actually considering doing it. While he scares the fuck out of me, I feel like I need to apologize to Tree Man and the gremlins. Not Lurker. Fuck that thing. Guess I should elaborate too on my father's experience with the looker. Interior perimeter fence is fully electrified. Little plastic things that fasten the wires to the pole break often, always at night too. This shorts the circuit out and makes the fence alarm go off. From our investigations, this almost always happened because something pushed its way between the bottom wire and the ground. Thinking to myself, that shriveled up lurker probably doesn't give two shits about a little shock. Anyways, every time this happened, Father and I would have to grab a spare plastic thing and some tools and walk the entire perimeter fence to find which one had broken this time. First few times, we went without weapons or anything. One night, the alarm goes off. I rush to the garage. Father puts on his shoes. We make it about 10 meters out the door when my father stops dead in his fucking tracks. This is a hardened South African farmer. I've never seen this motherfucker scared of anything. Anon, get inside. He spoke so deliberately, I did not even question it. He follows me inside and emerges from his room a few seconds later with the shotgun. Hardly ever saw that man with a gun, but tonight he was practically a commando. We get back outside, and Dad points the gun into the distance. I follow where he is aiming. Sure enough, the fucking lurker is gawking at us from behind a tree. Even worse, this tree is within the interior perimeter. Dad unloads on the fucking thing. I know nothing about guns, but it's one of those pump actions that load like 8 or 9 rounds. I know at least some of the buckshot connected because this thing goes screaming back under the fence and into the forest at full speed, leaving a few spots of muddy brown blood. Explain to him that that was the thing outside my window. Says if he ever sees it again, he'll kill it and bury it in the septic tank. Badass, that MP4.